let the audience build up, blah, 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 like we always do. All right, we're live. Hey, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, man. It's Tuesday already, everybody.
Yeah. So thanks for coming to our anniversary celebration over the weekend.
It
was a lot of fun.
It was very fun. And well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to open up with that. So if you're ready to go, we'll go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Good Health by Claudia podcast with me, Denny Schaefer, a production of Denny Radio. This is episode 55. Woo! Nutrients for kids with ChildLife essentials. Before we introduce our guest, I must run the disclaimer. The information contained in these podcasts is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or health condition. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional if you do have a medical condition. The FDA has not evaluated the information on this podcast, which represents the opinions of the hosts and or guests. Yes. Claudia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Let me start out by saying it was awesome this weekend at Health Foods by Claudia, your 33rd birthday. Enjoyed it.
We're so
grateful. My wife and I had a great time. If you guys haven't seen the video, go up to Claudia's Facebook page. It's probably right below the one you're watching right now, and watch it. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great people, and it was just really fun. And wow, what a turnout.
Yeah, we're very grateful. Well, we've done it for 33 years, and a lot of people in the community look forward to it. And it's, we have a lot of fun with it. And we're just grateful people come in and they want to learn. They want to talk to the reps. A lot of reps. You saw how many reps we had. They came from all over the United States to be at the store. And so it's exciting. And
I may have overdone it on the samples, though. I mean, I was sampling everything. I told Sharon, I said, man, I feel so good and energized. I don't know what to do. I went home and started cleaning the house.
Well, you did wheatgrass and you did
I did
collagen and you did, I don't know, you did everything.
I must have did 15 things in about 30 minutes. It was awesome. Anyway, it was a pleasure. All right. Something that's near and dear to our hearts are, of course, our kids. We have Dr. Murray Clarke, ChildLife founder and CEO. He holds licenses and doctorates in 3 fields of medicine.
Yes.
He moved to the U.S. from New Zealand 35 years ago. He's since become a pioneer in the field of holistic pediatrics. We all know that at a very young age, we want to, do the best we can for our kids and our grandkids. Yes. And I believe that, supplements, natural supplements are the way and not the stuff that Big Pharma wants to shove down our kids' throats.
Yeah.
And so with that, let's bring in our guest, Dr. Murray Clarke, to the podcast. Dr. Murray Clarke, welcome to our podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you both.
Well, thank you. We're excited.
So I'm going to start with the obvious question because I know Claudia wants to ask you about your background and all of that. But for people that are like, okay, I'd like to, make sure my grandkids and my kids, young kids are on the right path when it comes to supplements. At what age do you start someone in their life? How early in their life do you start them on supplements and nutrients?
Great question. Great intro. So even the American Academy of Pediatrics came out several years ago and said that every baby in America should start vitamin D3 at birth. So that's the day after birth, vitamin D3. Then what I suggest is when a child starts eating solid foods around 6 months, 7 months, that's when you can look at adding in the other supplements. Particularly in my mind, there's 1, 2, 3 to think about. A good multivitamin mineral, DHA, that's the omega-3 fatty acid for the brain.
Yes.
And then vitamin C for the immune system and also to protect them from the environment.
Yes.
So you can start looking at that around, 6, 7 months when and depending on what a child's, appetite and food intake is like.
So basically out the womb and start taking supplements, right, Claudia?
Well, yeah. And I when women are breastfeeding, the baby is being supported. But for those that are not being breastfed, I think it's very important to get them on things sooner than later. And Dr. Clarke, you've made a very diverse line of product. So it's great. You've touched on everything for immune and brain health. And so we're going to go over some products.
Okay.
Don't you and Dr. Clarke have something in common? You started your store in 1990,
Yes.
and he has a 1990. What did you start in 1990, Dr. Clarke?
So that's when I first got licensed and opened my medical clinic in Santa Monica in Los Angeles, and started, specializing in treating children. And over the course of the 90s, that's when I really learned, the importance of nutrition, supplementation, how to keep children healthy, number one, but also how to treat them if they have some disorder with, nutritional supplements, homeopathy, herbal extracts, rather than pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Now, not that I like to stir it up, but I do. How do regular pediatricians, modern medicine, get along with you and your thinking? Do they just think you're just some kind of dope smoking crackhead?
Great question, Denny. And the true answer is that there's a whole range of answers, respect, and relationships. But really, how my clinic actually grew in the beginning was because I was helping children get through some of these difficult to treat disorders, and some of the more respected pediatricians in the area and in Los Angeles actually started referring patients to me
Yes.
because they weren't able to help them with different conditions. And so out of that, I have longstanding, relationships with some really, really great regular MD pediatricians, and we work hand in hand, refer back and forth. So it can be a very, very symbiotic and very meaningful
Yes.
relationship.
That's
And
got to be very rewarding, wouldn't you think, Claudia? That when you have doctors are like, "All right, I got nothing. I need you to go see Dr. Murray Clarke. That
Yep.
guy may be able to help you." That's got to be really satisfying, right,
it's a
Doc?
big deal, and I respect it a lot. We always talk about, we have a lot of docs from around our community that refer to us, which we're very grateful that they trust our guidance and our knowledge. So, but I think it's fair to say, especially as the years roll along, there's more docs that truly want to learn natural approaches. I think more of them are recognizing that a pharmaceutical, especially for a child, is not always the answer. So I'm grateful to see that more of them are thinking bigger, thinking out of the box of their training. You see that, Dr. Clarke?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a new term in the regular medical world called functional medicine now, which has
Yes.
become very acceptable. And it's great. You see a lot of, MDs going more towards that holistic perspective where they're looking to treat the origin of the disorder, not just the symptom. That's
Yes.
the real difference that we're talking about.
So, what made you go down the holistic path, Dr. Murray? I mean, did you ever think about going the traditional medicine way?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of my friends actually went traditional medicine. We'd sit up all night talking about, the most important things in life. I wish we had written them all down. I would have remembered them better. But I learned that I grew up in New Zealand at the time. There weren't naturopathic 4-year colleges, offering college degrees in naturopathic medicine at the time. So that's a part of why I came to America, because there were these 4-year colleges in Oriental medicine, naturopathic medicine,
Yes.
homeopathy. And I realized I could get a really, deep and true education. So that was a big part of why I came here.
Well, we're glad you did, because you have a wonderful line of product. Should
Thank you.
we start talking about some of the products, or
Absolutely.
actually, before we do that, you and I were talking before we came on air about the homeopathic pharmacy in Santa Monica. I think that's
Sure.
very cool. So tell
Yeah.
us just about that for a minute.
Okay, so when I opened my clinic in Santa Monica, just around the corner from me is actually the oldest homeopathic pharmacy in America, which was still family run, and founded
I
by the
love
great grandfather after he returned from World War II. And he was a pharmacist, but he wanted to start treating, these soldiers who were returning with PTSD in those days, homeopathically rather than with the crude pharmaceuticals that they had at the time.
Hmm.
And that tradition has continued. So now it's run by the grandson, who's a good friend of mine. And there was a big part of actually helping me to grow my clinic was the referrals back and forth from the pharmacy. And during the 90s, especially in L.A., what I noticed as I started my clinic was that all of these childhood disorders, allergies, eczema, asthma, ADD, ADHD, autism, seemed to be increasing and exploding in the number of children at
Yes.
that time, through the 90s especially. And when I started looking into it, it wasn't just in Los Angeles. This phenomena, this increase in all these childhood disorders, is happening in every industrialized city and country in the world. So you see, asthma up 200%, allergies 300, ADD up 300%, autism up 500%, just in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So understanding what's affecting them and what we can do to neutralize and protect them, that's when I really became interested in supplementation and started creating formulas, to see what worked, what didn't work, and ChildLife Essentials grew out of that experience.
It's a beautiful, thank you for sharing your story. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, nourishing children rather than drugging them. I mean, that should be the primary goal for every doctor in the United States. So, but as we know, it isn't. So we're so grateful for doctors like you that understand the importance of supporting the immune system that they're born with in the first place. And really,
Mhm.
really looking at modern times and how that's it's affecting all of us, but we're really seeing it aggressively affect our children. I mean, we've talked a lot over the year we've been on the podcast, the increase in children that are being sent to us. They're on 2, 3, 4 meds now, and
Yeah.
they're 5, 6, 7, and 8. I mean, I think it's awful, and so I'm so grateful. We're grateful for you and other people, other docs like you that really get it and are using your heart and using good sense. Because how many
Mhm.
drugs can you put into a human body before you
Sure.
realize something's going to go wrong? So,
Yeah.
so what?
No,
Claudia,
that's great.
I don't know if I told you this before, but when I was in junior high, my parents took me to the doctor and said, "We got to do something. His energy level's out of control, and he can't stop bouncing his leg." And I was ADHD. I found out in the 90s when I actually got diagnosed, but this is the early 70s.
Yeah.
And so, what did our family doctor put me on? Valium.
Yeah.
And my dad, every morning, take your pill. I take the pill. And we had a basketball game one day, and my dad came to the game after I took my pill. And guess who could barely run down the court because I was stoned on Valium? That would be
Yeah.
me. And that was the last time I ever took it. My dad goes, "All right, no more drugs for the kid. We're just gonna have to deal with his energy." So it's sad because back then, if we would have had the tools we have now,
Right.
my school years would have been totally different. So I'm so thankful for Dr. Clarke and his line of supplements, because you're gonna help families when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, preteen, teenagers into adults. You're gonna give them great tools so they won't have to, go down the road that so many others before them did. So thank you, Dr. Murray.
No, thank you, Denny. Really, there's two big studies that stand out in terms of addressing what we're talking about. The one was published Journal of American Medicine 2007, where it was a longitudinal study looking at the last 40 years in America in children's health. 40 years ago, 1 in 50 children had some type of chronic medical condition that they were on medication for. That's what chronic condition is defined as. 40 years ago, 1 in 50, and then today we're 1 in 5. So we've gone from 1 in 50 children
Wow.
with some sort of chronic medical condition to 1 in 5 in the space of 40 years. And the other big study that I think shines a light on what's underneath this and what is, causing a lot of these maladies. Environmental Working Group, they're a nonprofit out of Washington, D.C. 2005, for the first time, they did a study. They took 12 pregnant women from 12 different states around America. And the moment of birth, they took the umbilical cord blood from each of those mothers and babies and screened them for over like 5,000 different industrial contaminants. The average they found in each mother was 280 industrial contaminants, heavy metals, plastics,
Awful.
pesticides, which
Awful.
means that most likely that was circulating in the mother during pregnancy, going through the placenta. The baby was exposed during pregnancy, and then that's their starting point when they enter this world.
Hmm.
And if we don't address the, detoxify, neutralize, eliminate these things, then the chances are sooner or later the child may be affected by one of those. And of those 280, half of them are neurotoxic, meaning toxic to the brain. Other half, particularly the pesticides, to the hormonal system, and then the other ones, to the immune system. So that's the whole array. That's the world that a child is being brought up in these days, and we just need to be aware of it as parents and know what to take and what to do to protect them.
Well, I know when Sharon was pregnant with Olivia, and her doctor gave her the prenatal pills, and I went to Claudia, and she said, "So boy, don't even take those."
Well, they were.
And you put Sharon on prenatals. She took them, and it made her sick, and it wasn't good. The stuff you put her on actually didn't make her sick, and she had pretty smooth pregnancies for both children.
Yeah.
So
Well,
moms need to, do their part.
and I think it's fair to say that the public officials that should know the reality of the impact of modern times that we're all facing,
Mhm.
they keep ignoring all these conversations about heavy metals and petrotoxins. I mean, we've talked about all this stuff and we do at the store all day long. So you have to wonder, those that know better and should be talking about how to help people protect themselves better, they're not doing anything except encouraging everybody to get their kid on more drugs. So it's a sad situation that we're up against, and that's why those that do know and have the knowledge and the heart, it's so important that we speak out, because I think a lot of parents truly want to know, but if they go to their doctor or they listen to the public officials, they listen to governmental officials, they never hear any of this conversation. They don't know. So it's
Mhm.
extremely important. I just think that everybody needs to get off this let's protect the economics of everything and get on, let's protect our children for the future. So, you know,
So if I could sum that up, Claudia, what you just said, is it possible that we have a government agency or more than one that is actually keeping this information from the public because they want to feed the monster that is the almighty dollar and the pharmaceuticals and all this big business that are actually writing big campaign checks to different politicians? Is that
well,
kind of what you're saying?
I mean, do you ever hear a public official talk about all the wonderful things we can do to help support the body with natural antivirals? Do you ever hear them talk about be careful of petrotoxins? They're estrogenic, they're impacting all of us. No, we're watching the estrogenic imbalances rise, right before our eyes. So that's what I'm saying. They should be doing better. It's their responsibility to do better. But thank God we have people that are in the world of natural health and have the heart and soul to educate and do what we do. So that's what I'm saying.
Anything you'd like to add, Dr. Murray? Agree, disagree, or you wish this podcast was over?
No,
First of all, it's a great pleasure to be with like-minded people always. So,
yes, thank you.
I just think that parents face bigger and more challenges these days in raising a healthy child. What used to happen naturally, and especially growing up in New Zealand, now it actually takes a lot of education and effort and knowledge and understanding and
Yes,
application, for a parent to raise a healthy child. It just takes more. There's more challenges, there's more obstacles, but all the information is out there. I mean, there's just so
yes,
much research, so many studies now showing what does what supplements affect different pathways, how we can detoxify, how we can support the immune system. It's
exactly.
all there. It's at our fingertips. We just have to apply it.
Yes,
So I just realized, and for my own child, she's 12 years old now, it just takes more time and more effort. But if we do the right things, everything works perfectly.
And that's why the information, and when we put it into use and it becomes knowledge, that's why what we do is so important. People need
Yep.
to hear it, they need to learn it, they need to, understand that there's a lot out there that they can, utilize to help their own health and the health of their children. So I'm
Sure.
just curious, what was your original product? You have a great line. What was the original product?
It's a great question, Claudia, because we have about 40 different products now, but
Yes.
still the most important and the most popular were the first five that I created, which are the multivitamin mineral in liquid form, vitamin
Let me show
C,
it. Let me
There
show
that's
it
it.
it.
is.
That's it.
Yep. And then extra vitamin C for the
Extra
immune
vitamin
system
C. So
and
important.
to help protect from all those environmental pollutants. Vitamin D, D3,
D3.
critical, yeah, right from the moment a child is born. And then the fourth one was the DHA and cod liver oil for the omega-3 fatty acids for the brain.
So what I have with me are the
Yep.
gummies. I don't
Yeah,
have the liquid.
same. This is the same thing, just in a different form. But yeah, the omega-3 DHA, this is really what the brain is made out of. That's the predominant nutrient, at least over 50% of the brain of fatty acids, and 50% of that is the DHA. So for a child's brain to grow, just give them that. And then the fifth product was, for any sort of immune strengthening or need for immune boosting, then the colostrum and probiotics. Those are the those
So
are the
that's this
primary
one.
five. That's that one. Yep.
That's that one.
Yeah.
And so they're all wonderful. We have elderly people that like these products also because they're easy to take. A lot of them can't swallow
Sure.
capsules or tablets, so we have the
Yeah.
liquids. But I do want to ask you, because I'm a big fan of, when parents come in, these are the products that we start them on: DHA,
Yep. Yep.
probiotics.
Yep.
We'll do of course D3.
Yep.
But I'm curious, in this probiotic with colostrum,
Yep.
so colostrum usually is separate from the probiotic, but in your particular product, you did both together. So
Yep.
I'm just curious, because colostrum is so important. Of course, well, anyway, it's what comes in, Denny. I don't know if you know this, Dr. Clarke knows this, of course, but it's what comes in the breast milk first for this first 72 hours, then the
Yep.
probiotic comes in. So I just
Yep.
think it's very interesting you've combined both in here. I'm just curious why you did that.
Well, number one, I mean, there's just so much, so many studies that just show how widespread colostrum is on the immune system.
Yes.
And to really understand that goes back to what you just said, Claudia, where, for the first 72 hours, it's not breast milk coming out of the mother breastfeeding the child, it's colostrum.
Yes.
So then why in the first days of a baby's birth on earth, why would colostrum be more important than breast milk? Why would colostrum be more important than food for the
Right.
baby in the first 2 or 3 days? And the reason is because the colostrum contains all the peptides, the proteins that actually stimulate the receptor sites in the baby's immune system to start working independently. So, more important than food in those first few days is to have an immune system working properly for the baby.
Mhm.
And the colostrum, that's why nature set it up that way. Kickstart, reset the immune system to function independently, and then we'll give the baby food. And it can do that at any point in a person's life. The studies now show how important the colostrum is to treat intestinal permeability, the leaky gut syndrome.
Yes.
So it has a myriad of effects, particularly on the gut, which is the foundation of the immune system. And then when you combine it with the probiotics, you get this synergistic effect where the effect is like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the benefit.
Yeah, it's a very nice product, and I love that it's in a powder. And
Hmm.
actually, we have a lot of adults on powder probiotics. If they have upper
Yeah,
GI distress, that we grab the powders because they help
sure.
up.
Yeah,
So it's a great product.
yeah. Thank you.
So I also want to show this one is very good also. I like the liquid calcium
Hmm.
with magnesium. I love that. And it's a nice form that you used. It's a citrate form, which I really like.
Citrate.
Yeah,
For
very
both the
usable.
calcium, magnesium, and the zinc as well.
And the zinc, little zinc in there. So all these products taste very good. And of course, anyone that gets into a liquid or a powder, if it doesn't taste good, I hear about it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm thrilled that people love the taste of these products. So we showed several of them. I don't know if I showed the zinc. A lot of people are coming in for zinc. And you
Very
have a little
important
bit of
these days.
copper in here to help.
Just
So
to keep
tell
it
us what the
balanced.
zinc is. Yep. Tell us what the zinc and copper are doing.
Okay. So, just like vitamin C is the main antioxidant in the vitamin world, meaning for the immune system and environmental protection, zinc is the equivalent in the mineral kingdom for the immune system.
Yes.
So, you've got the zinc supporting the immune system. If you're taking vitamin C as well, colostrum probiotics, you really have something that's helping.
Yes, it's all power for the immune system, right? And that's the
Exactly.
thing. We've all been born with a beautiful, sophisticated, complex immune system. And it's
Yeah.
always being ignored by Western medicine. And it's extremely sad because don't we talk about that all day long, right? We're always educating on what we've been born with and how to enhance it. It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Exactly. In fact, we wouldn't be here as a species if we didn't have such a wonderful immune system.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So one other that I want to show. Oh, I brought the K2 drops. Of course, this is very important. K2. So tell us a little bit about what this is doing, especially for children.
Yeah, so the K2 is, more of a recent understanding the importance of it. A lot of the studies have just come out in the last 2 to 3 years, but also just how important it is as a cofactor for especially the bone development in childhood and as adults too, but especially for the formation of the bone along with the calcium magnesium, really a big important cofactor for helping the absorption occur and get delivered to where it should.
Yes. So it's helping to get the calcium where it belongs so it doesn't go to places that it should not be, right? That's what
Perfectly
it's
said.
doing.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. So I think that let's see. Oh, this is another one I brought. This is terrific. First Defense.
Okay, so that was one of the other original formulas, and this was, I looked in the herbal kingdom, and the vitamin that says vitamin C, zinc in there as well. But what can we use not to just sort of boost the immune system, but to have, those effects on the different pathogens as well? So directly targeting plus supporting the immune system at the same time. And that was really, my alternative to using, pharmaceuticals to treat infections.
It's a great product. They're all great products. I think that's let's see. The other one I brought are the gummies, the elderberry gummies.
Elderberry, elderberry's like a superstar in the herbal world for, supporting immune system, but also a lot of studies just showing how effective it is against, different colds, coughs, flus, depending on the situation.
So it has wonderful antiviral properties, correct?
It does, but I'm not meant to say that.
But I mean, it's been shown to, has it not been shown to have antiviral activity?
There are many, many studies showing the effectiveness of that, Claudia.
Yes.
You're allowed to say it, but as a physician, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, I get it. But
Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame?
Sad.
Big Brother's always listening and watching and ready to pounce on you because they got to protect the money line, the money train. Are you guys working on any new products, Dr. Murray? Are there things that you're in research now and things that you want to bring to the market at some point?
Yeah, we're particularly focused on looking more into the probiotics. There's a lot more studies and research coming out now how different probiotics can actually affect different parts, different organs, even including the brain. So, we're looking at these and seeing how we can utilize and develop formulas more specifically for different organ systems.
Very good.
So will there be new products in 2024?
Some in 24, some in 25.
Great.
Well, we look forward to seeing them. And of course, we always remind everybody every day, the brain starts in the gut.
In the gut.
Everything starts in the gut.
Healthy gut, healthy brain. That's how it works.
Yeah, and that's what our children of the United States need, because we
Mhm.
do talk a lot about the degradation of the food supply, how it's an, it's an awful, I mean, it's a degraded food supply, and it's awful for children that are raised on it. So we always remind people, go back to whole food, do the real food for these children. They need it. They'll appreciate it. We owe it to them. They deserve for us to watch over them and help them be healthy. So,
Yep, true.
and one other thing I want to mention before we go, you brought up the Environmental Working Group, which I have a
Mhm.
lot of respect for that group. When
Yep.
back in whatever it was, 2014 or whatever, I was the state leader for the GMO effort to mandate labeling. And I was in Washington, and we had at their office. And actually, well, I'll throw this out there to you. I've reached out a couple times. I've left a couple messages. I would love to get them on the podcast.
That would
I
be
think
great.
that, so
Absolutely.
if there's anything you can do to help me connect with somebody with that group,
Sure.
I would just love,
Sure.
they're a wealth of knowledge, and they do great work.
Impeccable research, and actually the most focused and important, especially for children,
Yes,
understanding this whole food supply, the environment. Wonderful organization. So
yes.
whatever I can do, Claudia.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, I think we went over all the products that I brought. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we go?
Yeah, let me just wrap it up with this one study that came out recently, that another one really profound. There's this recently there's a this emergence of this new science called epigenetics, which is understanding how the environment affects us and how it affects our genes. There's always been this big debate in medicine, are we more a factor of our family genetics, or how much does the environment that we're growing up in affect us? And medical science has always weighed in, well, it's the genetics that take the most important. That's what,
Right.
you're born with this set, and that's going to unfold.
Right.
So the biggest study now comparing genetics to epigenetics was done recently. Over 400 million people involved, looking through genealogy.
Wow.
Over 400 million. And what they found is that the health and longevity of individuals, only 7% was attributed to the genetics.
Oh my
Only
goodness.
7%. So
Wonderful.
over 90% of how
yes.
our life unfolds is due to how we live, the environment we're in, what food we eat, the supplements we take to make up for deficiencies and toxicity. All of those things are determining the health and longevity of your child and us, both of
Yes.
us. So that's
I
the biggest study ever done.
That's a great study. I appreciate you
Yeah.
telling us about it, because, this is something we hear at the store all the time. In fact, the other day there was a woman that came in diagnosed with breast cancer and told that it was genetic. Well, no one in her family through the whole genetic line has ever had breast
Yeah.
cancer. And she was very upset with, she didn't understand why they would say that. And of course, when she came in, I asked her, have you ever been exposed to new home construction? Have you ever been in off gassing of new carpet? Do you use, all the things that we look at for petrotoxins? Well, her and her husband had built a new home, and they were the first 3 years in it. That's when she got sick. And, we see that. Unfortunately, we see that happen a lot. So the environment truly makes a tremendous impact.
The environment and how we live, Claudia, that's it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And it's always good with how we live to have loving thoughts, and to be, to have a positive approach and kindness, and all those things go, we always remind people that's part of what holistic health is really all about. It's all of us, right? It's all part of us. So, yes.
So it's been a real pleasure being with both of you. Thank
Great
you
to
so
have
much,
you on.
Thank you
to be
so
here
much.
Keep
share
doing
such
what you're
great
doing, because
company.
you're helping people. Keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. And thank you on behalf of the millions and millions of people that are benefiting from your products. Thank you, Dr. Marie Clarke.
Thank you very much.
Many
It's a pleasure.
blessings to you. Thank you so
Claudia.
much. Thanks for being with us.
All right,
Take care.
bye-bye. That was awesome. Okay, so I had a thought, and I didn't mean to be rude, because I kind of looked down because I wanted to Google this. What if, you know how we have charter schools all over the place? They have charter
Yeah.
schools for like music, and they have charter schools for, name it. They got it.
Right.
What if we started a charter school that would teach a curriculum that would satisfy the state's requirement so they would get what they need in math and English and everything, but it leaned towards holistic living, medicine, teaching people, about nature's nursery, and kids would go from
Nature's
kindergarten
pharmacy.
all the way through high school.
Well, I think I think it's a great idea when it comes to the educational system. There's a lot of regulations there.
Yeah, but
So,
they have charter schools for everything. They have charter schools for music, charter schools. They have Toledo School of the Arts, charter school.
yeah,
Why? I don't think I looked it up. I'm like, I Googled it, holistic high school or holistic medicine charter schools. And what comes up is you can get a degree online in holistic medicine and all that. There's no
Right.
mention of any high school. Could you imagine the change alone in our cafeteria food if it was all natural and it was not harming our kids? Could you imagine what it would be
Oh,
like in our school system?
absolutely. I mean, this has been a conversation in our industry with different people for a long time. But, many years ago, there was a charter school here in Toledo. They're no longer there. And they had asked me to come in. They wanted to start teaching their children how to make protein shakes. They wanted to start a garden. They wanted to juice. And, when they got away from certain foods being fed to the children, they were, the regulatory boards were not happy with it. So, the system has been created from a business and economic standpoint. Everybody's locked into this system. And there's a lot of people that want it to change, but how do you make the change? So I think it's an ongoing challenge. But to your point, that would be fantastic. And, I think there's more schools around the United States trying to move into better food, but it always comes down to the money and
Cost.
all of it, yeah.
And crap
So,
food is cheaper. I mean, it's just the way it is. Food that's got poison in it. They're serving up different, I'm sure, drinks in schools that have aspartame in it. And aspartame is a carcinogen. Our government knows that.
yeah,
And yet they still allow it to be in all the diet, sugar-free gum and all the
it's
soda
very
and
sad.
pops and all. And it's like, that this is bad and it's going to cause cancer. The government knows that. And their response is, well, it's not really a lot that it could damage somebody. Maybe genetics for some, whatever, but it's not enough.
Right.
Listen, you sip a little poison, it's going to wreck your day.
Exactly.
So anyway, but I digress.
No, but listen, what you're saying is very honest and it's very true. And I think that more people around the United States are getting fed up with being locked into a system that refuses to take a step towards better nutrition and better health. I mean, let's face it, it was all started on making money. It was a profit-based system. And to this day it is. And we're talking about healthy human beings, not harming people for money. So we just have to keep, everybody that's speaking out needs to keep speaking out, and we need to keep moving in that direction. So,
all right, Claudia, what are we doing next Tuesday?
Well, next Tuesday, we are going to be speaking with Dan. I should have looked up his last name. Sorry, Dan. He's the vice president of a company called Arthur Andrew Medical. And we are going to learn about the importance and the benefits of different plant enzymes for human health. We're going to be talking about nattokinase and serrapeptase. They make some great products. So that's what we're going to be learning about.
I have no idea what you just said. It sounded like English, but I have no clue.
But you will once we talk about it.
I will have a lot of questions for you next week. And people that are watching, just so you know, I will cut this up and it'll be in an audio podcast. Will be delivered on Friday at 11 o'clock on Claudia's Facebook page. You can also subscribe to it so you get alerted when the podcast is in. This way, You can share our Facebook Lives with people. And for some people, it's easy just to play it in audio form while they're driving to work or they're taking a trip with the holidays coming. You know. So anyway, so that'll be by Friday at 11 a.m. Claudia, like always, I'm giving you the last word.
Well, and I want to thank everybody that came out to our anniversary weekend, and there was a lot of cool vibes all around, man. A lot of love, a lot of laughter. It was a lot of people were learning. They were excited. The reps were great. We have a lot of great companies in our industry. Companies like ChildLife that are doing what they do with good intention, with integrity, really for the health of this nation. So I really appreciate, and I'll tell you, it was very exciting, Denny. At least a dozen people told me they're listening to the podcast, they're starting to share it, they're going back and listening to the earlier episodes. So it's exciting. We're growing every week, and we're really grateful to everyone that's helping us grow. So as always, just want to remind everybody, good health is available to all of us if we put our heart, if we open our minds, if we're willing to learn, if we're willing to make the commitment. Good health is available. We do it every day in baby steps. And, we always teach people, don't see it as, just not being able to eat certain foods or taking certain supplements. It's a beautiful way of living. It's a beautiful lifestyle. It makes everyone in the family feel better. And it just brings people together in a very positive way. So keep working on your health, share it with yourself, your family, your friends, and I just think it's beautiful that so many people want to finally learn how to be healthy. So we're grateful that people are tuning in. Thank you so much for being with us each week, Denny, and I appreciate it. So as always, just a reminder, every time I think I'm not going to say this anymore, somebody will come in the store and say, thanks for saying to keep the faith. So I guess I'm just going to keep reminding people, keep the faith, everybody. It's a lot of goodness, a lot of love. There's a lot of light in this world and in this country. So just keep shining your heart and shining your light and share your love. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Peace.